has enabled you guys work as a team, understand everybody's values and ideas. And I hope that has been achievable. So in case you're not able to use your mic, you just leave the comments. You just leave the progress so far bar before we jump into our class for today. Now, I don't know if we're expecting any more people. The first time I had this class, there were a lot of participants. I think the numbers are going up. So I will start. Now, today's class is about wireframes, I believe. And I believe a lot of you are quite conversant with wireframes, but I'll share my screen so that we could just go through it a bit. And there about. Okay, I need to activate. Um, so just one moment, please. Okay, chill. Let me. I need to work on my permissions. Sorry.
I mean, no.
Just give me a few minutes. I want to permit my system to share screen. So it's finding it difficult to share the screen. Right. Let's calm down and look for. Frames. Now, our main focus on wireframes. Sorry, that spelling is wrong, but I'll correct that later. How would the product look and function in detail? That's our main goal on this place. And so let's define wireframes. What are wireframes? Wireframes are a skeletal depiction of what a product should look like. So just take it as this way. So human beings, before the flesh, the blood, the organs, and everything that makes us look very nourished, you can see we have a skeletal structure. And without, if you notice, when the skeletal structure is deformed, it actually affects the outlook. So it's very important for the skeletal structure to be like properly aligned. Another reference should be if you take building, for instance, if you notice, they set up the foundations and put like pillars and some bars that hold the structure. You know, they don't just start painting the building or doing all those roofing. They first set out the framework. So, and even before that, before a building is done, there's an architectural structure. You know, there's drawings that depict how the building will look. And without those things, you might, if you build the building or decide going to build, you might just build something else and what not you're looking for. So that's what it is. And there are characteristics, just like we have for the skeletal structure, the way bones look and the way buildings are done. Wireframes are usually in black and white, and they offer the piece by piece and parts of a product or a service. Sometimes it could be different states, sometimes it could be the actual product. In a digital product, they depict the parts of the product screen by screen. In service, they might illustrate touch points that customers have within the service, you know. When you say touch points, you know, these gestures, swipe right, swipe left, you might not have to define it. It might be different states. Now, wireframes are usually black and white because they are focused on just the basics. What information should appear on the screen, how it should be laid out, what details appear there, how the navigation is available to help the customer move from one end to another. So wireframes usually come after sketching. You know, when you've put your ideas together, you just use wireframes to give yourself like templates, a black and white template of how the entire interface will look like and how it will behave. So that's like the process towards getting your product working. And you know, you put the goal into consideration. You know, we want the customer to log in. Okay, so what we will do, we'll like set up the interface for a login screen. Well, you can now think, okay, what if the customer is not a member? This is a first timer. You now say, oh, let's have a link that says first time logging in or first time using our products, or do you have an account, which is usually the usual one. Don't have an account, they put a register link that will lead you to the registration flow. But at first, the point is to log in, but they are creating different states. There's states when you want the customers to use your product, there might be a state where the customer is already registered and a state whereby the customer is not a registered customer, but you have to create flows for them. You know, when someone logs in, you're not be like, okay, what shows next after he logs in? He sees the dashboards, the navigation bar, the customer care floating button. But if someone should take the registration part, he will get a registration form, or he'll put somewhere to verify his email just to get his details. From there, he might need to create a password. Different journey, but it's your ideas that you have to like put. And by that time, you're more bothered about the information, like it has said, the layouts, the details, and the navigation, moving from one point to another. And wireframes give some sense of how information and details relate to one another. How do you get from one step to the next, which is what I just explained. What is the hierarchy of information? You know, there's a reason why when you log into an app, the first thing you see there, or when you open an application, the first thing you see there is login. So, but they still give you new commands too, because if you think about it, you are only going to register once. That's information hierarchy. You always ask yourself, why is it that even when I'm a first timer, it's always the login that shows first, then there's that don't have an account you register. It's because the likelihood, if you're going to use that platform, you only have to register once. But if you're going to continuously use that platform, you will always need to log in, which is why login most times takes precedence over registration. Some people give you a get started button, like, you know, they have the login and they have the get started. That so get started means, yeah, but it's all part of your design thinking and your ideas that will work with you on that note. Now, in addition to black and white diagram, wireframes usually include notes and annotations about how the product should behave. Now, you will see that in some places, I don't know, I'm sure you might have talked about this when in your UI class, but maybe this is a UX, so people are not really doing UI and done. Yeah. So sorry, I have to agree to terms and conditions. So annotations are simply guidelines, you know, because your wireframe, based on the information you might put, it might not really depict, or some might not really understand, you know. Some people use lines, circles. In fact, some people use shapes to create their wireframes, while some others actually might use actual words. So it depends on how detailed you want your wireframe. There's no perfect way. The people that use lines to get their job done. So for those that use lines and box, they might need to write a small notes to let people know, okay, this is what we want to do. For example, let's use the login screen I said. For example, maybe they want an email, they want to take an email and a password. He might not write email and password. He might just put a block that will say, and I put a square. He might just use blocks, different shapes of rectangles and maybe a curved rectangle. And he'll be like, so if you show that to anybody, someone will be like, what is this depicting? And I'll be like, okay, this is the login screen for a customer to, so you can put an annotation on the notes there saying login screen for a customer to enter his username and his password. Then you can put another block below it and said link that directs the customer to create an account if he doesn't have an account. So, but some people like me, I would write it and type it, but many people or some others would not. So there's no right way, there's the way that is convenient for you based on your deliverable. So like they said, for example, what should happen when you press a particular button, which we've discussed, how should the interactive elements change given certain conditions? We've talked that based on login. Those notes make wireframes and annotations. Yeah, so wireframes can simply, and yeah, with wireframes, engineers don't need to know about the products, like see the finished product before knowing what to do. For example, when you're having this discussion, in order to improve the lean UX approach, which is collaboration between managers and engineers, you would need to like involve engineers at times. So waiting for the finished product might take some time, where you're like, oh, this is what we want to do. So this is a login screen and there's a link to go to the registration. Thereby this person provides this information. Already the engineering team is already looking at the APIs they need to create, the top number of screens they need to work on. Even the front-end developer has an idea of certain scripts he needs to write for it to move from one state to another, which gives a collaborative feel. And you know, by that time they know what to do. So they know what to expect when your designs are ready. So when your designs are ready, they might have already created the APIs. Some have already written some scripts. So all they need to just do is implement your high fidelity mockups as it is. It saves time for any team that is working with the lean UX approach, rather than use the waterfall that, oh, wait for wireframe, go to high fidelity, that we do. So it improves collaboration, which is one of the most important things. Now, here's an example of a wireframe, and it might not be your conventional website, but like you can see, they have number 1 here, which is a profile page. You see, and you can see his annotation. Users can always access their profile through their profile badge. So obviously there's a drop down here whereby if you click, it's moves to the user profile page, and it says located at the wherever clicking the image opens up a menu, which is why he depicted a drop down. You can see this is a drop down. So it's not that he goes there to show you a drop down of options where you want to go, maybe edit profile, change password, settings, those sort of things. Now it says 2, users interact interests are derived from the imported data. They can click on the interest to remove it or change it, or they can click on the add button to add more. So maybe when they were onboarding, they tapped certain interests, like 3. Some services are like that. You know, you select 3 interests and you go, but along the line, he might want to reduce it, he might want to add more. So they're giving you the ability to see the interest you've selected and also add more if there need be. Now, 3 says, compared to others, changes the content of the central area to comparison view. So you can see your day-to-day compared to others. So obviously they are saying whatever information is here affects everything here. So whatever is highlighted here affects everything here. Maybe they have a function that can change it. We don't know. They haven't said something like that. It just is the area. I'm sure they can change it, which is why they said it changes this thing. Now 4, which is this place, is the calendar view is interactive. Hovering over a specific item displays a set of options for the user to indicate whether they are happy for the part of this day, if there is stress, etc. So as you can see, what information they are giving here has more to do with not just design, but also implementation. So if a developer sees this, or an engineer, he can say, oh, we're going to have some interactive components that will be put on this calendar where we to display certain sets of information and all that. So you can see why wireframes are very good. Even before the actual design, ideas are being shared. Doesn't mean it's the final product. It might change. They might decide to remove it. They might decide to go along with it. They might decide to move it to one side. They say, oh, this subplace might not be enough for the information. Maybe we should put an entire tab here that will be able to display whatever information so that we can get as many contents as possible. Ideas, that's why it's wireframes. If you've done high fidelity, it's very stressful changing it when there are changes to be made. And it says 5, data import panel is persistent in the footer of all pages. Clicking on that shows the set of options for change and deletion of feeds. So obviously, I think this now talks about what we're saying about the feeds that are here. So they already have where your data comes from, your emails, your Facebook. So I feel it's product is more likely like a social media manager. It manages feeds from various apps, and people can see everything coming there, probably their DMs and all that. But you can see they've done it in a very interactive loop. They used one interface to render almost 5 ideas, and you can see it's doing a lot for the user. And this is an example. So now that we've seen an example of the wireframes, please, if you have any questions, you can just list them by the side. I will check them occasionally to see and address those questions. Now, we have wireframe tools that we use. Initially, back in the days, Adobe Illustrator was used to create wireframes before the XDs and the Figmas came out. And there's also a favorite wireframe tool, Balsamic. I don't really use it, but I know a lot of designers that use Balsamic, Axorel as well. PowerPoint too can create wireframes. Remember I said sometimes it's just a matter of shapes, rectangles, and all that. So even a PM could, because he doesn't have the knowledge to use a Figma or an Adobe XD or Illustrator, he might use PowerPoint, say, oh, let's have the layer like this, just to buttress his idea towards you, and you'll be like, that's a very good one, or we could try and do it like this and like this, like this, like this. So it helps you like get an idea of the last field before you actually do those products. Now, moving on, how to create wireframes. Well, yeah, first you pick a tool, any tool you want, like the ones I've listed. You might have others you're using now. I usually use Figma. You create a template. That's when you've chosen your tool, you select the template you want to use, because we talked about wireframes affecting your layout, how informations will be laid out. So to be necessary to have that layout in your head, like, oh, we will have a navigation bar, or we might not use a navigation bar. We might use a hamburger menu, those sort of things. You have to like sort out a template, then create an inventory. So you start creating list of things you want to do, list of, you gather up your sketches, you have your different states. If there's any list, like you said, if there are any screens in your list that you don't have an idea for yet, take time sketching it out. It's always good to sketch out your ideas before you take it to wireframes, because you can have this, there's this thing they call design block or canvas, block canvas. It's usually because you've not sketched out the ideas. You just start the white thing and knowing where you start from. But if you start sketching out a few things here and there, you might have an idea of what you want to do. You might see a template that has a layout that you might think might work with your own. You might just put those things together and you can work those things order. Like it says here, once you go digital, it can be hard to separate the functional questions from the natural inputs to pretty up your wireframes. So these are the basic plans when you want to create your wireframes. Now, wireframe principles, like things that you should watch out for: sequence and states. How will someone get here? I mean, we've used the login to explain it. We've talked about how people will onboard, but we also talked about how people will register if they are not members. So you have to think of those different states. Information density, like what is the kind of information? Nowadays, if you notice the welcome screens, they're a bit more informal than formal. Before, we used to have login form, this enter. Well, nowadays we have like very introductory or very informal way. Hello there, happy for you to join us. Those sort of wonderful things. Those things improve interactions and they improve experience. You see them, they just say, oh, it's nice to have you on board. I'll kindly do this and do that. It's just what makes everything. So your information should You should work on how you present some of your information. Great. How clean and balanced and orderly does the design feel? So like we looked at our other our example in the initial stage. Let me just go. If you can look at this, he's working with a grid view. There's already like 4 columns here he's using to depict the information, 1 column for morning, workday, evening, and night, so that it could be access to information. So you can check what he got in the morning. You can even ask, oh, I sent you a message via Facebook in the evening. You just go to the evening section and narrate it. You can see it's really giving the user a very good experience at this point. They're giving him all the information he got in one day at a glance. So you can see how they were able to work that with one interface. I know he can also see the other the website is coming from. So if he said, I sent you one on Twitter, he could be like, oh, let me go add Twitter to it and to load his DMs, and you get that kind of thing. So this is the beauty about wireframes, and the design is not yet ready, but everybody will look at it and be like, oh wow, we have what we're looking for. This is what we can change 1 or 2 things here and there and stuff like that. So information density, the grids are very important. Design principle is the screen or piece of product delivering the experience expressed. Yeah, is it achieving the goal? That's one of the most important things that you need to work on when you're designing your wireframes, because at a glance, the goal here could be, oh, we want our customers to get a field of every message sent to them from in a day at a glance. So that could be the goal, because normally on your normal email, you have to be scrolling through dates, but they are like saying, oh, we are offering one that will just give you at a glance, so that at any point in time, you can read. Probably you're a worker and you want to restrict the information you handle that to work emails. So anything coming from your families and kids separated one side, you focus on work. Yeah, there are those kind of people. So the people that receive too many messages via mail, they need to manage how they attend to them and stuff. It can also be good in a customer care service if it's going to go public, information that are gotten from different areas. He wants to separate his work from his listing, even though he's using the same email address. Those sort of things is what they might be looking to solve over here. So the goal, achieving the goals, you must find that out on the wireframe section. Error messages and states, which is very important. Sometimes something might be successful, sometimes it might fail, sometimes there might be a server downtime. You need to be able to communicate the right messages so that a user understands where he's at. Sometimes the user might have done the right thing, but maybe something happened, a glitch in the network and all that. You need to be able to relay all these messages and give the states. And another important thing, which is seek and listen to feedbacks, which is why you do the wireframes. So you get your design or your sketch, your design ideas out, and your team will look at it and be like, oh, let's do it this way, let's do it this way. It's important. It's one of the most important features, not just in the wireframe section, but as a product designer, feedbacks are very important. They might affect the success of your products. It might make you go high, it might make you go low, depending on how well you listen to feedbacks. And I think this is where it is. So I will just run example, though it's not really a perfect wireframe, but it's one of them that I've been working on. I will take questions very soon. So this is a landing page. Now this why you can see this one has no register and that, because it's an admin landing page. We just want to maybe change password. That might be the only problem we might have here. We are not looking forward to registering because they are already working for us. So it's an admin. When you log in, you get information. So that's what we want. So this is a site. It's managing a site and stuff like that. So we can see the number of posts. Want to be able to see the number of users. Want to see number of site visits, or it's our site view. So if someone clicks on our site for the first time, want to know how many users we might get. Want to see the total number of categories that are being created, because each post will be inside a category of some sort. And as you can see here, we are also running some metrics. So We have the number of site visits against the number of posts. So we want to know whether people that are visiting are also reading as well. We're expecting that the red post should be ×2 of the site visit. I'm not expecting a user to come in and reading one post. Should read at least 2 or 3 posts. So if all my users are reading, so it should be double or triple the amount. And you can also filter it. Maybe you want to see the one for a year, a month, 6 months, or you want to see everything. And as you can see, for each month, it's comparing the post against the red post. So we want to see how many posts. If we made 208 posts, how many of them were read, so that we'll know which area. So it's a wireframe. That's why it's in the initial stage. Fortunately for you guys, I've just been working on it, and we are still brainstorming. Over here, we plan to put some activities, because a lot of people will be using the dashboard, so we want to control a timeline of activities. And a few things has been done. I think this is the website edits, and we want to be able to change the social links, which once our clients or customers click over there, they will go to the various social links. Then this is like the About Us page, whereby we have a header photo, want them to upload a picture, put in a section. Yeah, as you can see, we put a number here to cap the number of characters that will be input, because we want to maintain a particular structure. And we said, okay, this particular frame or grid we created on the website should be able to take maybe 200 characters or less. Sorry, I can't show you the website. I had to even remove the logo because it's still inbuilt. And we also have another cover filter and a second caption just to manage us. Because if we do not do this, the developers can go and build unlimited, and maybe, and you know, these guys, they are not, it's not their business to be tech savvy like that. All they want to do is create content. They might go and put 1,000 words and it might destroy the layout. You don't want that to happen. And the other side we worked on was the category. So here's an example of a change of states. Now, this is a state that tells you about whether there are categories or not. And for the first time, we expect there not to be categories. Nobody's going to just create categories out of the blue. So once they create category, we have somewhere to tell them they can go back as well if they are not creating categories, and they put the name, the slot. So like I said, I don't normally use blocks. I kind of like put the name or the information that I want to put, name of how it appears, this appears. Then I normally use blocks for my icons, as you can see here, to really change the icon. And when you create category, this is an example of how that same state we saw before is still the same state, but you can see we've taken out the blocks, we've shown different names of categories, their parents. As you can see on this side, you can create a category and attach it to a parent. You can create a category and not attach it to a parent, so that it kind of affects the drop down, the kind of sections we have on the live sites. So when you do that, you can see the slugs and everything you created. These two buttons are either for edits and deletes. So we represented the boxes. They will also have a navigation pane. You can say show 1 of 10 entries. Obviously, we create 1 to 10 of those, you know, those arrows things. We're expecting them, but still is in the initial stage. So we don't have to like put all the information. As you can see here, we have newsletter. And what we plan to do here is, you know, manage the number of subscribers and also be able to send newsletters to all our subscribers. So every day we'll get updates on the number of subscribers we have. So you can see all this is in the wireframe without the final product being done. So if I were to share this with the developers, they will know the APIs. I can see there's a search bar to search for cloud category. Maybe by this time, maybe the category might be up to 500, and they might need to navigate. You can't start scrolling through the other stuff. So you could just search for it and all that. And you can always create a category. For any category you've created, you can always delete or edit it. You can see how many states we've been able to manage with one screen, and we just did it with a wireframe. And if we were to share these developers, they will know the different states, they will know how to manage their CRUD and every other things. Now I'll be looking at the question panel. I think I am done here. Let me see. Let me see if I can stop sharing. Yeah. All right. So I will be looking at the questions. I don't know if you have questions for me. Oh, someone can't see my screen. I asked if they could see my screen. Oh my God. Could everyone see my screen? I hope I wasn't sharing. Please confirm if you can hear me. Yes, you could see my screen. Yes, everyone could see. Okay, so probably it's a network issue, and hopefully the video will be uploaded so you won't miss out on much, since if they're making the videos, you'll get it online as well. So that's about wireframes. Yes, I'll send you the link to the slide. I think I'll copy it and give it to you. It's just a method. Someone wants to ask a question or any more questions? So I hope we have a clear understanding on how wireframes work. All right, I know slides are very important. So you all get the slides. I would send a link to the slides. You have your slides, you know what to do. If there are any other information, if you like, I think we still have a couple of time, you might want to know, just let me know. If any other thing, you could just talk to me. So let's have an interactive section. I like interactive. This thing, what don't you understand about wireframes? Are there any difficulty when to use it? Just let's have a question and answer session for the next couple of minutes before we call it a day. More button on the navigation bar. Have I ever seen that? Yeah, I think I have. Sure, we test our wireframes. I mean, I think it was Ugona that couldn't see my screen, and I ran a little test with the wireframes, creating of categories and stuff. Yeah, you test them. You have to test the interactive state because. Okay. All right, I'm seeing recommendations to help you out with creating a wireframe. So let's have that. If you guys don't mind, I would create some wireframes for you so that we see how it's done on Figma. Okay, is that okay with the team? Okay, that's very good. So I'll share my screen once again so that we'll run a wireframe session. And let's see. So this is almost like UI. I'll see your madam for this. All right. Please, let's confirm if you all can see my screen. I really would want people to be able to see this. I want to see a lot of yes. Okay. So let's just go to our. Let me minimize this. I hope I can minimize this. Oh, let me just drag it down. So I won't end up ending the call. Drag this as well. So let's see. This is where I created the wireframes and my design link. So I think here we can share. Let's have let's see. Look for phone. I love mobile designs. So let's do this. Now, this is a black canvas, and we want to, like we said, let's look at an app you guys will want to build. Let's take the fintech. I don't know, I don't want to do e-commerce. E-commerce is really stressful. So one thing I like doing here is to create a navigation. I mean, a top bar. Usually this top bar represents that place you see your network, your battery life, and whatever issue you might have there. Then we want to like, sometimes we create layout grids, and I use layout grids a lot. Now, a lot of people might tell you they don't use layout grids, they don't use wireframes. And yes, and they might have started using before, but they say they don't use it again. Our advice to always use wireframes because they help structure your work and your app. For people that don't use it these days, they've gone through a series of like designed so well that they know how stuff would look good and it doesn't affect their flow. But it as is me, I always like to design. So for our fintech products, we might have most times fintech like taking the bank, we can just say AfriBank, and we create the name. We might just leave this as let me look for. I need to find where I'll put this thing that won't disturb me. but the right side of the screen is always very used. And okay, so let's look at Afribank. Mostly headers usually range from 24 to 32. So you could just have that on your thing. Another good way of designing is saving your styles. I'm sure you would have taught you this in Figma. So I like creating 32 regular. So this enables have a record of what you are doing and also gives consistency. And yeah, I'm sure you would have done lessons on, okay, I'm not even supposed to be talking as if you guys are doing the UI classes. So if you want to edit the styles, you can always come here to edit the styles. Sometimes it's always good to adjust the spacing, even if it's by 0.5 or 0.4, thereabout. For readability, sometimes the letters need to be apart a bit. Now, we could have different types of form styles. Normally, forms should range between 32, 48, depending on how you want it to be. You can have white. So there's this thing I do when creating my wireframes. I create a list of grayscales. So I always like to create, because it helps me. I know there's this talk about not using black because it's too sharp. And that's what I'm sure for those that are doing the UI classes, they would have mentioned that to you. Try and avoid black colors when creating your designs. Even though we specify wireframes are created black and white, I normally use my black at 3. That's 000. It's actually too sharp. So from here, I create different variations of grayscale. I could reduce it. So what I do, I also auto layout it so that it could like, I won't have issue. Let me use my mouse because it will be a lot better. So when I create a new one, I create a lower gradient or a lower version. I just need a grayscale from one end to another. And let me see. Yeah, I create another one. So this is one tactics I like using. It helps me create my. So let me just finish this. And almost there. Might not be as perfect, or it's close. I also go to white. Okay, we still have one that is not as white. We can have this one to be white. Yeah. That's one way. That's one way. And when I do this, I label my, so I already have, wow, these are, so I can create 0 gray and just create the style. And this one, so I just label them so that I could call them at any point in time. 1 gray. And so this is how I do 2 gray. 3 gray. 4 gray. 5 gray. 6 gray. I can go 7 gray. Usually like it when it's up to 10. I don't know, I have a thing about 10. 8 gray, well, it's fine. 9 is equally good. And 9 gray. So already we have our style and this one. So what we can do here, when we take our, what is that? Our local colors, you can see we have our gray, so we can just choose the black one here. And we could have this, so we can decide to work on our form style. We just have a little shades and we could just make it very distinct. So you can create different states of forms in the sense that, for example, you can have email and or username thereabout, maybe. Or since it's a bank, they usually use account number. And we can adjust the size. I think we've created 32 for this. And I think I want to detach this and create a new one. Mostly 16 fits the font style for this. And I could say 16 regular. Yeah, I could actually create that. We can have 16 regular to create. And we create a style. So for manager, someone is asking if the UI class is holding today. This is already an example of a UI class, my opinion, but hey. So one thing to watch out, they always tell you check out for your padding. So you always make sure they are aligned. And I want to create a state. This state I'll change to green. So you can see I have my local colors and this. So I can also do, okay, I can group this. So I can create this and make this a component, and I can create a variant to that component because I might want a place whereby I can put an icon, and this icon can depict a calendar, a drop down, a password. In this case of password, it might just to depict an eye to let you know when, yeah. So I like keeping spacing balanced. So yeah, so also I can adjust the scale. I want this to be on the right at all times. I want it to be on the center, same way with this. So I don't want it stretching. I want this to be at the center. No, I want this to be at the left when scaling to the left to right. I want this to be at the center. Likewise, I want this to be at the left, and I want this to be at the center. So the beauty about this, if you take it and you want to adjust the frame, maybe you have create responsive view, you can just do that and it won't affect what you're doing, which is why we do that on our components. So I could take this and bring this down here, and I could create another one. And I say, okay, the distance from here to here is 16. So I'm checking out for my layout, and I'm going to create an auto layout for here. So I can also say the distance from most information could be from here to here 32, but that depends. I'll just have 16. Then I might want to create a button and create another. Usually that's going to take another component. A lot of people talk about large buttons and all that. I feel it's cool. You can also have buttons that are very large. And for here, I could just put login. I think 16 is okay for login button. Probably change the states. And let me see, I can create a new one because I might want it to have a little bit of content. I want it to be in the middle, and I'll just put create style 16 medium, and I'll create that style. So admin, I think someone is asking about the class. So if anyone could attend to her concerning the class, the UI class. So I bring this out there. This is going to represent my button, and I can give it the color I want. I want it to hold. So they've said it was announced on Slack, so kindly check your Slack. And the distance from here, I might want to maintain a distance of 32 because these two forms are similar, and this button is a call to action, so I want it to stand out a bit. I could also put an auto layout just to buttress my point. So because it's on a phone, some people might decide to put their forms in between so that they could reach out to it. And like I said, we've already created two form variants here, so we can have our password. So now we have so in some cases they will say, oh, someone might forget his password. So what we do, we want to create a forgot password link. But it's not every time this thing happens. So we really might not want this button to be too big. Probably a 12 would risk it. So I want to put it like a question mark. So usually, I don't know whether it's left or right. They normally put it. Well, anyway, we can always put it on the right. I forgot password, just to let the person know, oh, did you forget password? I know most banks, they usually put a remember me around here, but usually when it comes here, we'll be like, oh, what if the person doesn't have an account? Then we'll now be like, don't have an account, and you now have a register. So this is one way of creating, and you can see with the, I don't know why it's not in auto layout. With the auto layout, it kind of like gives you a feel of what you need to do. So you have a login screen, simple and straightforward. It's not that complicated. So you have one that links to the login, or you want to take care of the registration phase. So with annotations, you can actually, this ones might not need annotations because it's literally just telling you what you want to do. So like I said, I don't usually use annotations because my wireframes are pretty detailed. So we just go. So what should happen when you choose the register? Let's look at the registration flow. And we could say, oh, let's have, so here's this thing I do again. It's something that saves time for me. I can create a 24 box here and make it a component. I'll say this box will represent all my icons. So I might want to put a back button here that tells the person he can go back, and I want to put a registration to tell the person where he is, or maybe open an account phase or something. One way or the other, I want to give him that information, and I don't want it around this thing. So I can say, oh, looking at my fonts, I think 16 regular will be okay for this. And I want maybe the distance to be auto layout, with this one is centered, and I'll prefer distance to be 8 because they're close. And so what do I want them to get, provide for me when they need an account? Mostly, I think in most cases, they request for a BVN. So we're like, okay, let them ask for a BVN, maybe bank verification number. Then normally you ask yourself, what if they don't know their BVN? You now say, okay, let's work on that state. But first, let's have this, let's have this form. So you can see how the design thinking is, because we've not sketched the ideas that we're just popping them out. So it's based on experience we're able to do this. So you now have, so sometimes they like, when you get to a place like this, you have to have like some kind of interactive message, maybe a hello there, welcome to AfriBank. And I'm sorry, I don't know why distance between this and this. What did I do here? Let me check the information. Okay. Okay, that's too much. Let me see. I will maintain 8. So, hello, yeah, welcome to AfriBank. Yes, let us set up your accounts. I don't have time to, so it's between the team, and I will let you know how they will work on this information and how it will be displayed. A lot of people might say, oh, let's go right aligned. A lot of people might say, oh, no, let's go with left aligned. It all varies on what you want to do eventually. And like I said, I like giving myself some auto layouts. So in this case, I think from year to year, now put an auto layout and maybe use a distance of 80 or 48. So you need to work about your spacing. So that's what the Figma designs help you to do. Then you want to say, oh, what if they don't know about their BVN? I don't know, someone should help me out with the code to check BVN. Does anybody know it? I don't know. You can click don't know your BVN, or can't remember your BVN, which is the word. Does anybody know the code for BVN? Okay, I'm saying *346#. Okay, can't remember your BVN. I think they say use your, or dial rather, star 346. Okay, they say it's different for all networks. Are you serious? Okay, let's assume it's the same in our industry. I know, I think it's different for all networks. Wow. Well, that's information on work on there. With your verified phone number. Let's assume BVN today. You need to work on that. There has to be a unified. I thought they used to have a unified phone number for this. Anyway. Okay, so one I said is *5. This is for all networks. Okay, that's good to know. Let's use that one because I want a general. So we are assuming we don't know what network they are coming to register with. So we're like, oh, can't you remember your BVN? Dial this with your verified phone number. Obviously, it has to be your verified phone number, and we want it very close to this button because they might be very confused. So we can decide to put this information. I don't know if we have a 12. This looks like an information for a 12 fonts based on the hierarchy. I'm not expecting everybody not to know their BVN. So we can actually create a for 12, probably a medium. And let's create this one, 12 medium. We'll create this style. Okay. Yeah, I think I've gotten another confirmation. That's the general. Sorry. I don't know why is it not entering my. Yeah, well, no problem. I will just drag it in myself if it wants to be stubborn. So sometimes it might be too far from the button, but I think it being okay is yes. Then you might want to reduce the maybe the font color because you don't want to put too much emphasis on people forgetting I don't know about their BVN. It's only natural that most users we know their BVN based on the importance of the BVN. So this is one way to do this. And like someone said, do you test your this thing? Sure, we can go over to like test this. Oh, we need to prototype first. And so this one hits this and goes here, and we can change it to add some, just love animations. Oh, BBN, okay. Thank you for that. Okay, BVN. All right, so let's look at this. I think this should be modeled. Okay, right now we have, so yeah, welcome page, account number, password with the small I, forgot password for anybody that doesn't have this account. You decide to register if you don't have, tells them to verify. Hello there, welcome to our friend. Let us set up your account, put in the name of this to do that. So another thing I'm seeing is the gap between this form and this thing. I might want to close that in because these two are kind of like very, very active. So I want to make it 16. Okay, that's a lot better. So this is why we use wireframes to adjust spacing and all that. You don't want to confuse. You just see some anomalies, just slight one. It might not be general. They might say, oh, this text, this welcome text is too small. Let's make it a 24 so we can add a different style. And let me see. I add a different style. Let me look at add a different style and say, oh, let's make it a 24. Yeah, so that maybe users will feel, address the users, those kind of things. So we just do this and let's break 24. I think this is regular. All right, so we can do that and you can see we have our states. So hello there, welcome to AppSale. If you can put some animations later on if you want to. So I think when they verify BVN, it sends them a code. I believe that's how it works. And I think we'll work on that. And we can say, use this place to say, kindly enter the code. It's a OTP code sent to, I think we need to work on this. That doesn't break. Let's see. Let me check something. So what is pushing? Okay. Yes. All right, kindly send the OTP code. Can you enter the OTP code sent to you or sent to your verified phone number? So they might say, okay, 24 might be too much. You might want to use a 16 for this because we don't want to like, the other one was a welcome message. This is more like an information. And we might want to like use, so mostly for codes, it's always good to use blocks, either blocks of, how will I put this, or dash, mostly, so that they know the exact number, so that you know it's a 4 digit, because there's a lot of hacking schemes these days. We don't, when the four, why they do that is, sometimes you need to know, you specify the number the user is expecting, not that you put a list for 4 and the person is receiving 5. Maybe someone has messed with the system, you don't want to be hacked, you don't want to be compromised, so you do that. So this is a way I like designing, and I can just put this here. Usually I can turn this to a frame, and the reason for being that when I stretch it, I could set this one constraints to center so that I can move it and put it at the center. I could delete this and I could always adjust. I didn't set this one to center here. Let me see. I think it's because it's on all content. I think fill container, I could adjust it, or I can't do that. So I could do it this way, and let me just leave it. And I don't need this information again because the person has already verified his BVN. This placing is a little centralized, so I can actually centralize it so that it looks a little bit better. So you can see how we used one information. This is just due to the help of auto layouts. And let me look. I need to adjust something here. All right. It's due to the help of auto layouts. I could say, okay, let me verify this, move this here. When I say I could take this back, this one could take me back home because I want this. So yeah, we're already here. So we decide to verify, enter the OTP meant for your this thing. And when you do that, I think what we ask for is like your extra details, because we know it's you. With the OTP, we can get your name, your phone number. I mean, with the BVN, we can get your name, your phone number, and everything. So I think most likely, I think we just set your account up. So I think we'll have like some celebratory message or some celebratory message tell you congratulations. So you have for one that is if it's correct, and for one that if it's wrong. So it's different states. So we could have congratulations, and we now add different forms to like set up the last few. So I think what we usually ask for later on is password. They'll put some information under. So I could decide to create a form that takes care of that. Let me see if I want to do that. This class is already becoming a UI class, but not to worry. I could decide to create another auto layer. I think I want another one because I want the forms to be a lot closer to each other. And I don't need this anymore. So I could create more forms. Please, if you have questions, you could actually ask your questions. I just created this outside the group. It's supposed to be within the group. Oh, I made a mistake. Okay, that's different mistake. Let me see this. All right. Let me create the forms finish. So this will be confirm password. So I know when it comes to password, they have this hide I button that you might put. So you might want to switch it to the other type of form which you've created. I think another thing they ask for is referral. If you have a referral, tell you to create that. I don't think there's anything else. I think they normally do security questions, but I don't think we'll have time for that. Let's just make it as simple as possible. And I think that's that. I think there's a final information. Congratulations. Kindly complete the form to complete the form. And for this complete the form, we might not need it to be too big. I think it's 16 can take care of it. And so we have that. I think our layout has worked out fine. So I think I want to group this now, create an auto layout and make them 16. So we can make this center. And the reason why we're putting center is because of the fingerprint. Most of the time we're interacting with our mobile, the greatest number of concentration is from year to year, really not here, which is why the back button is here. So that when they're thinking of going back, it's not something they want to do. We want to encourage them to finish the process. The back button is closer to the bottom. I would appreciate if you check out my groups wireframe or run that app. All right, I'll look at it if I have the chance. And so, yeah, let's just proceed. I think we've done a very good job so far. And let's go with this, prototype this and move this here. I think this takes us back here. So you can see we're testing as we are building at the same time. So I think when we do this, it takes us complete the form. Thank you for that. So we can take them back to the registration to input their password again. Because at this point in time, their level has changed. They are no more registering. They are more of logging in at this time. They already have details. I mean, they put their password, they have their account. Okay, no, we didn't give them an account number. So yes. So at this point in time, congratulations. We might decide to give them maybe an account number. Your account number is this. Let's say congratulations. No, it should come after, come before this. I'm like, your account number is, I think our account number is a 10-digit word. Just make it for easy. And I could look at this group and say, maybe I want to give it some spacing. I think it's spacing enough. So I say congratulations, your account number is this. Oh no, I need it's looking too clustered for me. Let me do something else. Okay, let me just take this out. Too clustered. So I'll put it here. No. Yeah, I'll put it like a different word. And this one too. I want this closed. So I want this to be a different word as well. But this is so, yeah, so adjust this. I can group this and make them, I don't know whether 16 or 8 to be 9. I think 16 is fair. Then this registration form I might decide to go. So there's a lot of red. I don't want black. Move this. Kindly complete the form. So we don't really have a flow, so we can't really test our production, but at least now, so you saw that when we did congratulations and went back to our login, we kind of like forgot, oh, we didn't give them an account number. They needed an account number to log in. If we had said we're using the BVN to authenticate, then we might need to go back to the BVN and just give them, then we might not need to provide an account number, but yeah, we need to create an account number. So we can just say, okay, after this, I think yeah, it's not verified at this point. Is either complete or proceed and or confirm actually. So because there will be different states for error messages, but I don't think we have time for that. So now we have our app. We've moved in. I think okay, we run the registration one more time. You can so verify BVN. So to password. Oh, account ready. Bam, back to login. At this point in time, the person's state has changed. He can now log into his app. So you can say, okay, what do we want our customers to see at a glance at the first time? We could be like, okay, let's say they just opened an account. Let them see their account balance. So we can say, oh, we want them to see their account balance. We want to give them a card. I want to put it right here. I want them to get a notification, maybe to welcome them. So we'll take this icon notification here. So you can see how I'm using different goals to address situations. I want to give them a pleasantry message. So we're like, oh, hello, Samuel. And we don't want interacting too much. 32 is too much. So we can just reduce it to 16 and be like, hello, Samuel. And we have, yeah, these are cards. So once we can add more contrast to our cards, saying we want them to show the type of accounts they open, probably a wallet account, since we didn't use much. We didn't use like ID to verify this account. So we can just specify the type of account they created, probably a wallet account with the wallet ID, sorry. So with the wallet ID, I think we use 111-00000. Why my direction button not working? So we can say this is this, and by like, oh, should we use a 12 instead because it's just an ID, they can always this thing. Then I'll be like, okay, besides that, 6. So I always check for opacity, for paddings. And we can say aside that we want them to be able to copy the account ID. So we might want to reduce this to 16 by 16 and say, okay, let them be able to copy. So this would be like all those copy icons. Maybe they want to copy it and paste somewhere. And you might want to do that for them. It's a preference to always be a decision between the team. That's okay. Now we want where they can see their balance, maybe 0.00, that first instance. Or their balance is something people like to see. So sometimes you might want 32, sometimes you might want 54. If I let's see how it looks. Let's see where our login will take us. Somewhere to log in from here. Let's look at this. So, all right, so our app is coming alive. So it's coming from here, we say, put a login. So we could decide, so normally I do this, I try to like group these two together so that I can have an equal padding at the top. Then from here, I can give this an auto layout as well, but I might want to use 16. And I might want to put an extra information whereby I can tell the person the name of his account. So my name is actually Samuel, and I'll still need to check for padding as well. Always check for padding, 16. So I can have this and decide to make everything auto layout again so that I could hold the app and I can always adjust my information. So I say, oh yeah, now our customers can see how much they have on their accounts. What else is next? We'll be like, oh, we want them to do features. Do we want to create like maybe a menu? And so we want them to be able to do features like create a menu. And we can have a menu here. Maybe we'll just use that at 16. Yes. We can also reduce the whites for this one, maybe make it very, because it's his own name. So eventually it's not really just to create more precedence for the other details than this one. So that's how we do that. So we can decide to say, oh, we want to do we prefer to put our account details, our menu in list or grid form? That one will depending on the team to decide whether that's what they want to do. I don't know which one we will do eventually. I'm thinking myself, I'm already brainstorming, but let's say, so even in this account, you might want them to know their transaction history if they have any. You can say, oh, let's have a link that tells them about their transaction history. And we can put that at the right side of the screen, possibly with an icon as well. So you can drag an icon, create something a little bit smaller. Hey, you see how you're working on different states. Normally we should have sketched this, but hey, well, you guys are bad guys, so I know you guys understand everything that is going on there. So normally I like putting this at the right time because most users, it's assumed that most users are right-handed. I don't know whether that's a stereotype, but whatever it is what it is. So we have like a transaction history. So we want to have where we have our menu, and want to say, okay, what can our app do? I'm already giving expo to those building fintech app. Wahala. So we could also have this, a menu button. So, most times I like using lists because my experience with banks is sometimes their menu are always long, it's like sentences. So unless they have like pinpoint or simple things like transfer bills, airtime and data, sometimes they say loans and investments. So because of that, I was okay, you will not came in this bank. I'll just put the whole thing like this in a list grid, or maybe manage it in two forms. So I could do this. I could actually set this to be 24 because icons are very important for people when using these apps. The icon depicts what you want to do. So I could also do this. I think 16 is what I use for this. I think I can make this 16 as well. Okay. And I could group this. This auto layout this, and so I could decide to centralize it, maybe make it, put it more in the center. Maybe this one would be, it depends. So it depends on your view of things. Let me just make sure I get this. So, but I think I prefer it at the side because most of my styles are staying one side. So I don't know, I feel it's better that way. So all these things can change. It's not a must that this is the final design, but I've created this for this to take care of my menu. So I can decide to create transfer, bills. I'm supposed to align this to the left. I think it's aligned to the left. Is it true? I think something is wrong. Okay. Let me create another variant so that I know what's really wrong with this stuff I did. Am I using an auto layout? Okay, yeah, I think it's called the auto layout. So I think I figured out what the problem is. Let me remove this for now. Yeah. So bills will be there. So I could actually use this one to be an auto layout and this one to also be auto layout as well and make it distance of 16. So what other activities they do? I think airtime is one. Some people put airtime and data together, but I love using airtime and data differently because people like Spectrum and they don't have airtime. So managing that might be different. I can decide to create a new one and call this loans. Call this loans, and maybe this one call this investments. And I think that's good for a menu. We don't want our menu to be too much. So it's left for a team to sit back and work on the hierarchy. So the menu that they want to use for this sort of thing. So I might want to keep a distance of 24. So they might decide to say, oh, we want to do ads of our other products. And they can come and say, okay, let's have ads for our other products. Maybe we have ads or ads of other services. Actually, it could be products or services, and you can do that because we just want this menu to be simple, but we want them to know about our other services. So it's all about the team to decide whether that's what they want. And you can see goals drive your design. So most of the time, black canvas is due to the fact that you might not have defined your goals properly. So goals drive design. So always have your goals stated. What do you want to do? What do you hope to achieve? So I can decide to have this. Okay, no, I don't want, I want them to be grouped so that I can align them in this sort of manner. No. It's not aligning. But let me just take it out. Let me create a new one. So I can just bring this out here and say, okay, I want the distance to be 24. And maybe I want another one, I can say auto layout. So I'll bring this in here if I can. I should delete this. Should bring this in. So I can take this frame, sorry. And this is a frame. That's why. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see. Take it out. Okay, I think this one works. So this is 16. I think this one is already a layout. Okay, I cannot bring this inside. All right. So yeah. So let's look at our app right now. So you can see we have a simple mobile app that tells us what to do. And so we can decide, we didn't use a hamburger. So we want to say, what about navigations? We can decide, okay, let's do that. I think that's what will complete this app completely. And we can just say, well, let's give it a navigation. Let's say navigation could be like a distance of, let me see, 54, 64. 64, let me see how 64 looks like. I think I like 64. And so I love doing this. I use a lot of frames to do my designs. So I might want to decide on the number of navigation buttons. It varies between 4 to 3 or 4 to 5, but I've seen 6. I think Twitter is using 6. I don't know where that came from. I think they're the first people I'm seeing that use 6 icons on their navigation. I don't know what inspired that. I think it was the fact they needed to accommodate spaces and separate other things. But up to now, I don't see why they need to do that much. But hey, it's their app. So one thing about this part, so I like creating this one. So this is like, I think, let me see. I think we have a navigation down here. All right, so I can say, so I might want to create one state. So it might be, okay, I already have one. It's back to 5 icons. I know I saw 6 one day. And I was like, why? What happened? So this is one way I normally create my navigation. Believe me, some of my techniques, I don't know, it's just personal. It's not as if they are the best techniques in the world. They are just the way I like doing things to get my designs accurate. I could call this dashboard or home or whatever, but I know 12 to 16 is too much for such an. It's usually 12 and accommodate it. So distance, I think I'll make it 8, and I want it to be a little bit centered. And I want this to be grouped probably. I want this to be a little bit centered. So this might be my active. So I can take this out and bring this. This might be my active. So I can create a different one, another variant, and make this the inactive one. So I'll just reduce the precedence of this so that so when someone is here, he knows the menu he's at. So I can create a new one. I can create another one. Create another one. Create another one. So some people are saying 6, some people are saying 5. So I think it's those that will update it's the latest updates that are the right people. So people are saying 6, some people are saying 5. So you guys, maybe that's your take-home assignment and check which one is necessary, which one is useful. So this is like I said, we change this one to the other variant. So I don't know what we'll put here. We already have a place for history. What else do they navigate to? Let me look at some apps. Maybe services. Another thing we might want to do is make sure they are centered aligned. All right, we're having 6, we're having 5. 5 bosses. So I don't know, maybe we can have one for cards, we can have one for settings, we can have one for profile. I don't know, which one will I put here now? What other important things do they do on an app that's I'll be very, very serious. Like you just want to go there once and for all. Because taking care of history, accounts, most of the distance, transfer is on our main page now. So we don't need to put another transfer. So we'll think about it. Let me look at other apps. Let me look at other apps. See whether there's one I can put there. Inbox. You already have notification. Notification can serve as your inbox. So notification, when you get message, you get notified. But yeah, you can leave it as inbox. Let's just so that we'll fill it with something. Yeah, locator is fine. I think I like locator. So support. Now that you mention it, we can have a floating button as a support. So they normally do that sometimes. One icon will all float. So because it's wireframe, we can just put one small this thing, give it one kind dark opacity to let you know that, oh, we are here to render service. You can even put one small text. So it's life. Design is not easy. Get as it be. Someone just said support and it has already changed the hierarchy of our design. All right, so you can have a message that pops with this guy, and we can make it white. We can have this, and we can have some text inside. So you can have something that says, let me take this text so that I can edit this text outside. I'll say, welcome to AfriBank. How may we be of service? Something sha. So when you have content writer or UX writers, you can have them to just give you that inbox. Don't say that making it look easy. It's not easy. Work is not easy. Where you should whine you people outside. They say design is easy, not just design. Fight them. Don't fight them, sha. Just allow them, lecture them. That is more than just design. It affects the structure. Without all this, I mean, nothing can. Yeah, so like I said, there is a limit. I've not seen beyond 5. And the reason being that, I mean, we are using one of the smallest fonts already to depict this information. Anything smaller than this might be harder for an older person to see. So you have to consider who you are building for. If you check, the fonts are always small. By the time we're doing it, by the time I want to render it, it might be a problem. So we do not want that to occur. We just want for people to be able to do something. So this can be this thing, we can make this fixed. So this one can just be there as a welcome note. So it just lets people know they can come in and, talk about, they can get customer care immediately as soon as possible. Locator. I mean, look at what we'll be able to achieve. It's actually quite remarkable in this short time. And I like using a device. Let me go for iPhone X. So look at what we can achieve. It's quite remarkable. Let me change this. I'm sorry. I like switching this back to white. How do I use gray to just get? Then I'll remove the frames. So yeah, this is wireframe, and we have been able to achieve a lot with our wireframe. I mean, when the customer comes in from the very first time, he will be able to see his account, he will be able to see his account balance, the name of his account, he can copy the accounts, he can see his transaction history, he can go and do simple things, transfer, pay his airtime, data, simple things, all these things that we're saying. He has other services he can decide to scroll through. There's one guy popping in to tell him, oh, welcome to Africa, have a VP of service. And there are other things that affect our navigation, which will affect our navigation hierarchy. So you see, we'll be able to build an onboarding process. You guys can go and work on the forgot password. Okay, yeah, design hierarchy. So yeah, it has to do with, if you guys have done like design principle, it has to do with the information you want your customers to be focused on. It has to do with spacing, it has to do with sizes, it has to do with widths, basically principles of design. So like you see here, my focus here is, yes, it's Afribank that owns the product, but I want them to be focused about logging in. That's what we want them to do. But in a scenario whereby they don't have an account, we've created a small text for say, okay, let them register. I think we made that into small. I think I used 12 there. I think I might want to use 16. Yeah, I didn't use a style. I just created that one there. Let's go and use one of our style. Yeah. So I want to use 16, and we might want to like reduce the precedence for this. I don't know why I'm using black. I advised against that. So I want to reduce the precedence of this, So why you are doing this is to let the person know that this register will have more precedence than the other one. So yeah, I explained that earlier before. So a black color is too sharp. So there's this thing that has to do with contrasts, blending things together. When it's too dark, like black, it's too sharp. So on a very white surface, it can affect this thing. I know you guys have like very good eyesight, but when you check it out, oh, there's no problem. Just tone it down a bit because you will see what I'm saying. When you try it, you see what I'm saying. When you use a little less than the very dark, you can see your designs will pop out they'll blend very well with the white. If everything was black, it would have been too sharp and other stuff like that. So we worked on our registration, verify BVN. I'm sure you can see the whole thing, account, put your password, referral, confirm, takes you back, you log in, and you're straight into the app. Wireframes, very distinct. So when you take this to your customers or your stakeholders or your PMs, or you go for feedback, they now start testing, oh, do we want to collect, can we collect more information, blah, 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 they want to do verification and all that. You can even create an information message. So this can be a state for usual users. For the first time, you can say, verify your account, this, that, and you just, this thing can hurt the eyes, yes. Jasmine is right. Pure black is it's too sharp. And it will also help you in your color. If you notice when if you use very, very sharp color on a very white, it's as if you want to stone the person on his eye, but you want to like tone it down. As you can see, we tone down most of our designs, and you can see that's why it appears very balanced and very okay. So you can see we actually created an app with wireframes, and I think it's cute. So for those that are doing fintech, congrats to you. Those that are doing e-commerce, best of luck. So I think that's it. All right. So right now, I think I'll be taking questions and feedbacks. I think that's what we'll be doing for the next few minutes before we call it a day. I hope the class has been insightful. I hope you guys have learned and understood the importance of wireframes and why you need to induct it in most of your designs. And I think, yeah, this is the part where we start discussing. So let the questions roll in. I'll give it like 5-10 minutes that I can take as many as possible. The Figma file is the Figma file, good enough. The where I did the slides is the same place for the Figma. So it's up for management to determine whether this is too much expo for everybody. So where the link to the files, we obviously occupy the Figma file as well. So it's a draft file, everybody can go and see and check in it. So what's different between high and low fidelity? Well, as you can see, if you notice where we're focused on our goals when we were designing our wireframes. When we talked earlier, I think it's around here. We talked about what we want to achieve, and we said, look at it, it's here. Focus on the information. We're focused on the layout. We're focused on the details that appear. We're focused on the navigation. moving from one part to another. So that's our prime focus. When you now want to move to high fidelity, you are more focused on the aesthetics, how pleasing it is. You talk about your icons, you talk about the images you want to use, you talk about your illustrations, your color codes, your color scheme. See, your goal is actually different at that point in time. You want to make it as pleasing to the eye as possible. But right here, we're more focused on the information, the different states, the goals, all those sort of things. So that's the difference. It has to do with the goal. High fidelity is focused on the final product delivery, what we are rolling out to the market, how it looks like. You see, when you're talking about high fidelity, you'll be more concerned about the images, colors, the use of color schemes, icons, illustrations. That's what you'll be more bothered about. But when it's low fidelity, you're more focused about your delivery, your messages, your layouts, and other stuff like that. So, oh, the auto layout. I'm sure you guys have a UI class, but auto layouts, it's technical. I've just been using it and using it too much. So literally, let me just see, how will I explain this now? I don't think I've ever had to explain auto layout. So let me see. This might be slightly off topic, but the design goals that we did like to implement for our solution, does it have to be a generic statement or more specific and detailed? Design goals vary. You just have to look at your target audience. You understand? So for design goals, you have to look at, it's basically your target. Like when we were building this app, we were just more concerned on how to onboard people on the app with just their BVN. Possibly if we went back to the bank, they say, oh no, we have people with accounts and all that. The goals might change. So design goals are more directed based on your target audience. We don't really have a target audience for this app. If you are building for younger audience, our design flows might be different. If we are building for older people, retired people, it might be different. We are building for young people that are not old enough to have an account, but they can have an account so long there's a guardian that is under it, that is married, then that's fine. So goals changes. It doesn't have to be like a generic type of goals. As for the auto layout, I'm sure there's a UI class that will provide for that one. I would okay, people asking me to give their feedback of their projects. I'm sure that's what the entire class is here. I'll talk to the team and maybe we'll then look at the wireframes. Since I took wireframes, you could send me links to your projects. I don't want to get too many. I don't know how many groups are there because there are other things, but I'll check as many as possible and see what it looks like. But like I said, wireframes don't have to be perfect. They just have to like guide you. So as you can see, even though some wireframes might look very neat, sometimes wireframes is just to give you an idea. I can see people dropping links, no problem. Or go through the links and the run app and all that. I'm sure you guys are doing amazing work. I'm sure you guys are really doing amazing work. So more button on the nav bar. Yeah, I think I answered this initially. I said 5 to 6 is the standard, and that's due to the fact that if you look at this, we use 12. 12 is usually the minimum for apps. If we reduce this, if we want to add an extra nav bar, there might not be space for it. So that's why they maintain 5 to 6 based on just not the content, the text. So if we reduce this to 8, we would not just accommodate more nav bar, it might be a problem. So, and if we increase it to, it might be a problem, which is the reason why they maintain 5, 4, 5, 6. I think Twitter has broken the bias in that place and added 6. Usually it's 4 to 5. And I would not recommend adding more because adding more to this will require us to reduce the font size. If you think we can try it, let's take an example. Let me just remove this and let's assume that we can add more. Let's take this back. I think I'll put this, but I'll delete the individual icon. So I remember using a frame here. I think I've lost the frame. Okay. Let me ungroup this so that the frame can return, and I use 5. So let's assume we want to use, let's break Twitter's bias. Let's assume we want to use 8. Now think about this. See the space left for 8. Now, if you're going to use 8 now, your word has to be, if you're going to use like a font of, let's even try and even use home if we want to even be nice. It's already being too clustered, and there's going to be settings, and you need to compare. If you look at dashboard, this is 12. This is already the lowest for a mobile screen. So it's already breaking the formation. So you don't want that, which is why you want to restrict it. If we say we want to use it to, let me remove this and take it to 10. It's still breaking. 10 can work, but it's still breaking. 10 is already a constraint to the eye. If I use 8, let's see how it looks then. Let's the page refresh. You can see how 8 is. It's already too small for the user, and you really don't want that. That's going to create a lot of problems. So that's the reason why we can't use too many, but we can use less. 4 is usually the standard. So I think some have 3, but 3, 4, 5. So just it's something that's called standard. So just follow that. I won't advise it to do more than that, and we can check other apps. So another thing you do when trying to make decisions is check other apps. Like I said, Twitter is the first app I've seen that use 6. Someone said they reverted to 5. Maybe I need to update my Twitter to know which one, because I knew that that 6 was already a problem for me even while navigating to Twitter. I totally ignored the spaces parts. I didn't check it, and I didn't really bother about it. 10 pixels. Okay, someone said 10 pixels minimum or max. Yeah, you can do 14, I think. 16. So maybe if you have like 3 icons, you might want to do 16, but you shouldn't go beyond that. Shouldn't go beyond 16, especially for mobile view. Okay, button that says more. Well, if I wanted to do a more button here, I won't, let's say I had more here, I would change the entire interface to accommodate those more. So it's more about the behavior. For example, let's assume, let's change one. If we're changing one of these I buttons to more, I will just change the interface that is viewed on more, so I can accommodate more this thing. So yeah, it's fine. You can have a button that says more, but it depends on what you are trying to communicate to the user. This is a fintech app. Most times your communication has to be direct. So more what is what you will now ask yourself as an experienced person, someone in the UX. More. Is it that if it was services that were listed here and you had a button that says more, it's fine. The person knows it's more services. But now I'm putting a navigation bar more here. I feel there's a need to define what that more means. So I hope that answers your question, because I don't know of any other scenario I've used more. That's what I'm thinking. But if I had a more, I would change the entire interface to accommodate the content that wants to do with that more. So that's a bit of interaction design, and there will be. Twitter is actually 5. He has upgraded. So you can see maybe the 6 was a test. I know Twitter always tests some stuff. And obviously, they tested 6 and tried to see the experience. I know they would have checked their data, and maybe people didn't interact with that extra bar as much as they expected it to be, and they decided to take it out. So all these things is still down to testing and what have you. So yeah, for the other one that says something about auto layout, well, let's do it this way. So if you notice here, these things are grouped together and they have a 16 this thing. You can also do an auto layout for padding, which is what I should have done for my button. But this is a padding to give you the space. So this padding around that item. So if I wanted to create a padding here, maybe I could say 8. It will shrink everything and give me a padding. So you need to know how your auto layout works and thereabouts. Okay, so what else do I want to do? So these two, because they are grouped, I gave them a distance of 16, but generally the auto layout for everything here is 32. I could decide to switch it to 24 to reduce if I want to. So it's just a bit of understanding the beauty about auto layout is, as you can see, I didn't need to be dragging too many things. I just put this in between, put this in between. It also helps for responsive view and fast design. And I don't know how well I will explain it. I think there has to be a session for auto layout. So I think if they've not done that, maybe you can request for a class. I think you have to talk that with management. But for now, I think this is as far as I will go for auto layouts. The main course is wireframe. So let's keep it restricted to that session. So it's been nice having you guys on the class. I really enjoyed this session and I hope it was very impactful. So I think we've answered most questions. You said I should look at your links. I saw one link. I might look at it. I think I've opened it. It's saying, okay. I think I might need to leave the app first before I can check the links. So yeah, I'll find time to look at links. If I can drop feedbacks or when I can drop feedback, I'll let you know about. But I think part of what we are doing at Design Pal is to also help you in such areas too. So not to worry, we would look at your links and give you feedbacks and help you. That's what we are all about. So it's nice to have you guys on board. I wish you all the best in your journey being UX designers. I know what you would have heard in the market. It's saturated. Everybody's a UI UX designer. That shouldn't worry anybody. Once you are clear about your goals, you would get to what you want to be. It's a career. There is nothing that is good now that nobody wants to do. Everybody wants to. Same reason why most people want to be artists. Same reason why people want to be footballers. Same reason why I want to be actors. There is no place you say is booming that you won't find people in it. They say designers are dev too is saturated. There are great devs, there are small devs. So there's no good industry that doesn't have side, but there's need to stand out, and that's what this platform is giving you, a means to stand out and be different from other people. Your knowledge gap will change after some of the classes you've had, and that's what might separate you between the average guy that just feels design is for everybody and someone that knows what design is all about. So know about this is a problem solver. There's always going to be problems that are going to be solved. They're even creating new problems. We don't want 2D web, want 3D web, want virtual web. So there should be more people coming into the industry rather than saying we want to guard the gates. There's no gate to guard. There's just opportunity. So there's opportunities for everybody. Just do what you need to do, improve, be professional, build your career, your portfolios, your resume, your output, your knowledge, and you'll be fine. So it's nice having everyone. I appreciate the class. Thank you, Linda, for the thumbs up. I can see them. And appreciate everyone for joining the class and gaining from this class. So do have a lovely day. I wish you all the best in your design journey. Thank you, Nana, Mark, Olawale. I appreciate you all. I'm glad that you all gained from this class. I know knowing things and teaching might be very difficult. So it takes a lot to translate what you teach or what you know actually to people. And I'm glad that you guys have gained a lot from this class. I really appreciate everyone. Do have a lovely day and a lovely weekend. Bye.